Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to Bariatrics and Beyond, the podcast where we talk about life before, during, and beyond bariatric surgery. So grab yourself a healthy snack and a drink, because on today's episode, we have a very, very special guest. You guys might know him from the show Below Deck. We have Chef Ben in the house. And the crowd
What's up, guys?
goes,
How are we? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Chef Ben. So we at EOC, we are doing a reunion cruise, which we kind of every year do like a reunion with the past patients. And this year we are doing a cruise, but before the cruise starts, we are all getting together in Florida, and you are going to be our guest chef. So we're very excited to hang out with you next week. So could you give us a little hint of what we should expect from you?
Well, expect only the best, my little love bugs. Yeah, just really high-end, clean, good food. It's actually my style, so I got lucky with this branding. So I really do believe in holistic nutrition and just clean, sexy food. I love seafood, fresh, raw. I know it sounds a bit scary, but it can be amazing. I love ceviches, tartars, pokies, sashimis, all of it. You know, I'm very well traveled, and I just love sexy food, sexy fish babies.
I like the sound of sexy food. What about you, Nicole?
I'm not a very adventurous eater, let's just say. I'm not. I'm really picky. So
I reckon you got it with sexy though.
Well, since I have you on the line, like, what's your favorite dish, Miss Picky?
Me, I'm very basic. So for me, and you know, growing up with an Italian father, I'm a very big pasta, bread, and rice fan. Do you know what I mean?
She's a carbivore.
I'm a carbivore.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I'm thinking about doing some pizza. How do you
There you
like
go.
that?
I mean,
We would love that.
Yeah.
On behalf of Nicole, we would love that.
All right, I actually I learned how to do pizza in Naples, Italy. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And you know, on behalf of everybody at 2 a.m., I think everybody's going to appreciate pizza as well after a, you know.
We're all going to say thank you in advance, Chef Ben.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
Chef Ben, a little birdie told me that you're actually a certified health coach.
I am. Yeah, I am. So I was on these yachts, and I had all of these guys from LA, you know, commandeering my kitchen and telling me about all these things that I'd never really heard of, like gluten and lactose, and how intolerant they all were. And I just thought, well, bloody hell, this is a bit of a shame, because, you know, they're talking about food and I don't know much about this, you know, arena. So I thought, well, if you can't beat them, join them. This obviously is the future. And I became a certified health coach, a holistic nutritionist. So I do a lot of diet-based remedies for people, weight loss, anti-cancer, Hodgkin's, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Addison's disease. I've written a lot of diets on these things, and I just think that holistically, it really is the way forward. And big pharma, although I do believe that, you know, it has its place, I do also believe that natural nutrition is in abundance, and obviously there's not a lot of money in there. So there's a sort of a fight between big pharma and the holistic remedies, and I'm willing to uncover some of those truths.
I have a question for you, actually. Like, do you think if you didn't meet those guys from LA that come and, you know, took over your kitchen, do you think you would have eventually moved into that space, or do you think it really opened your eyes?
Good question. I honestly, I've always been fascinated by science and biology, and cause and effect, and healing. So I think I was sort of carved out for that anyway.
Right.
And when I saw it, it really just prompted me to sort of to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, that's really cool that you can kind of like share that part of you with like the passion and the talented side and kind of make them, coexist. That's really clever.
It is, and it's a lot of chefs are not willing to swallow that nut, so to speak. Excuse the pun. But I am, and I feel that a lot of these old techniques are passé, and there's so many modern techniques that can be used, and with these modern techniques we can incorporate these amazing dietary valuations. So yeah.
And you'd put your own spin on it, so it's not so boring. Because when you hear the word diet, you just think gross, boring, blah blah blah.
Restriction.
So
if you understand the science behind all of it, then you can really obtain any goal you want to meet with food, and so you can incorporate all of these incredible things. And why not go that route rather than pass on that and just sort of stick to our old-fashioned routines, which may not be as healthy. And the reasoning for these routines was because we were deprived of certain compounds and elements at the time, and now we just have everything at our fingertips, so why not use them?
Right. And all the tools to do so as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I would say, like, in saying all of that, like, what's a dish that you've created that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I mean, I actually had a vegan on a vegan. I can't really say that word without laughing.
I know.
How do you know if they're a vegan?
They'll tell ya.
Don't worry. They will tell you.
And they'll tell everyone in ear distance.
We're going to get along just great.
Yeah, so basically, I actually made vegan croissant. I love pastry.
Pastry's
and
good.
it's just kind of incredible for a chef's standpoint to, we've got these really restrictive recipes, but you can kind of change it. You could find a lot of protein in chickpea flour, for instance. I know, it sounds absurd. But instead of gluten, you can use these chickpea, this chickpea protein, and it actually suffices. So it's really just really interesting. It just captures my imagination, and it just shows me that that food is just this endless fledgling science, and which I enjoy.
Yeah. I once seen in a recipe for like black bean brownies, and they lost me. Like making brownies out of black beans. Have you heard about that one?
You got. I know. I have now. Yeah, I've already made them in my head.
Is that what happens to you? Like, if somebody says something, like, your mind goes straight to that, and how can I use this, and what could I put it in? And
yeah, I just start
processing.
Like, how can I make this taste good?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, black bean. Yeah, you can do that. They do avocado as well. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
I guess
raw, cooked.
Well, what about in saying all that, and we had a little bit of a giggle, right? Like, what's probably one of the funniest stories that you have, or maybe even one of the funniest disaster stories,
even a disaster
maybe.
dish that you thought was going to go good and flopped.
Well,
or a funny experience, like.
Well, I was quite new to all of it, and I kind of I put barley in something. it was meant to be gluten free. I forgot. I just kind of screwed up. Because barley is kind of it's a subsidiary wheat germ, and I messed up. I'm sorry, world. And I screwed up, and I hated myself for it. I was just caught in the moment.
But
so,
did they know?
Did you tell them, or did you just were like, whoopsie?
No,
they'll never know.
They read it out, and they said it was barley. And good old gluten free caught it, and said, "Well, there's gluten in barley," and I was like, "Shit, I stand corrected." Yes.
Well, I wondered if.
Right. Well done, gluten free.
Yeah.
Well done.
I wondered if
10
somebody ended up
points.
having a reaction or something like that. No, I didn't say anything, but
I hope
next
they
minute, blah
did.
blah. So and so was on the toilet.
Honestly, I hope they did.
That's hilarious. So, if you could collaborate with any chef, living or dead, who would it be?
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Oh, at the Last Supper.
Supper.
You'd want to cater the Last
He fed
Supper.
the 5,000, didn't he? I mean, that was impressive.
But I
no,
mean-
I worked at the Fat Duck. We were #1 in the world. So I worked with Heston Blumenthal, and I actually worked there for free for a couple of months. And in an exchange, they just they taught me all of their recipes and techniques, and I got on. I did a lot of observation, and I worked with all of the chefs that were doing incredible things, and that was amazing. So Heston Blumenthal was just amazing. He was a real pioneer of the molecular gastronomic movement, and I really appreciated my time at the Fat Duck.
So was that the start? Like, was that at the start of your career, or is that what?
No, that was actually I was an executive chef on yachts when I was 22 years old. I was head chef on one of the biggest yachts in the world when I was 28. But every year or so, I would take a sabbatical, and I would go off and learn. So I'd learn in Italy or Istanbul, or go to a Michelin, a really like serious restaurant, and learn there. So, and that's kind of how I achieved, where I wanted to be, which was I wanted to really just understand all of it, and then the health thing that kicked in a little bit later. Actually, that I was about 31 when I got a scholarship to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and that was a 1-year course, which was amazing, and we just studied so many dietary so many diets, maybe 1,000 diets, and and then we're just sort of left with all of this information, and we're allowed to sort of make our own decisions at that point. So, and then you go into specializing. So I started specializing in certain things then after that. So I had the foundation for that then, and it was a wonderful time spent.
That's really cool. How old were you, and like what made you decide you wanted to be a chef? Like, where did that stem from?
It was weird, actually. I was about 5 years old, and I had an amazing relationship with my mother, and I just loved hanging out with my mum, and we grew up in a big house in England, and we had an Arga. This is that fantastic oil drip stove system, and which it never shuts off. It's always on. The Arga, and so it was just a beautiful machine, and by the age of 7, I knew all of my mother's sauces. I knew, I thought they were your mother's sauces because your mum taught you, but it's actually the family tree of sauces, and so I knew all of the Espanol, and the vinaigrette, and the tomato, and the bechamel, and I knew all of these techniques when I was very, very young, and I wasn't decided that I wanted to be a chef. I was good at writing, and I was good at physics, and and chess and stuff like that. So my brain was very, it was
active,
right, left kind of thing. But I think it was one of those talents that I had, and I had a very special palate. I could smell things that no one else could smell, or taste things that no one else could taste. And I just kind of fell into it, and it was one of those things that just probably had to happen, So I embraced it. So I got lucky. I was lucky, very lucky. I was blessed.
And you worked hard for it.
I have worked very hard for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also think, like, with a lot of people, sometimes it's just a natural gift. You know what I mean? Like if
absolutely.
you're talented, like if you got it, you got it,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So
It's-
like,
yeah.
and you knew at such a young age, like you got
That's
it.
why you
So-
can't deny it at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because some things you can't really teach. Like you can teach fundamentals of things, but like if you don't have it, you know,
the
it's
it
just
factor.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously from a young age, you had it. Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I mean, if I can say, like, you know, cooking is something that just happens, right? I mean, everyone's always cooking, right? You know, you go into a house, eventually someone will be cooking. So
Mhm.
I just kind of gravitated to the guy that would do the cooking because I was the best at it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, step aside.
I got this.
You know, this is what I'm good at. You know?
Right,
So,
right,
like,
right.
You can't take that away from me. And and people were happy, obviously, for me to be doing it. And
To let you go.
so cooking is one of those things where it just comes up so often that you know, if you're better than everyone else, you may as well be doing it.
By
doing it.
default, that's your job. Yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
what does a regular day of eating look like for you? Do you ever just get times where you're like, I CBF, like I don't want to cook today? Like, so what does a day look like for you when you're eating?
Yeah, I actually I eat pretty simply. You know, I love whole foods. I love fruit. I love but I love different proteins, and I just like doing it really well. But also, it's just so important for you to have the right purveyors, the right fish market, the right butcher, the right people behind you, and so I can go off in Fort Lauderdale, which is just an incredible landscape for food provisioning because of all the yachts here. You know, I mean, I can get anything I want at any point. So so it's kind of fun to do that. And so every day, usually I wake up and I'll think of, you know, what would be good for dinner, or what would be good for my diet right now.
Really?
You know, like, and you know, so I kind of base that around. I live in this very boutique small building, and I have a lot of friends in the building, and I probably get ripped off because I end up cooking and
Forever, yeah.
and buying the food and the wine and stuff, but I enjoy it. And I think that's part of life, you know. I really do. I think it's good.
So what's your go-to, like right now you're home, right? So let's just say you're hungry and you wanted to go to the fridge, and you know, just your go-to meal that you would cook for yourself if you're in a bit
What's for
of
dinner tonight?
Well, yeah, or even, you know, like, if, you know, me, I think we talked about this before, but if I'm hungry and I'm at home and I'm by myself, it doesn't even matter if I'm by myself. If I'm going, if I'm going to go cook myself something, I'm going straight to pasta. That's just me. Do you have a go-to, you know what I mean, that you're like, oh, I'm cooking this today. I just feel like this.
Too. I love that. I have to watch out for carbs a little bit, you know, but I do love pasta. I love San Marzano tomato. I love garlic. I love Fresno chilies, which is the ripe jalapeno, the red ones. Like this, I love to saute them with garlic, and then just have a base, and then just throw in some San Marzano and maybe some like a bolognese or a sweet Italian sausage.
Is that your quick meal? If you just want something quick, straight, you know, out the door, nice.
Yeah, no, I really like it, but I have to be careful with the carbs as well. Because I'm always trying to be like camera ready.
Right.
You
That's
know,
a whole
like,
other thing
I feel
entirely.
like, 2 weeks. I always feel like I'm 2 weeks away from, you know, being camera ready.
Right.
So, you know, it's like a line that needs to be towed, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, right, because you'd have to have that too.
I would love to be a fat bastard and just eat like crazy carbs and food all day long. I love that. But
right, and see,
I love desserts.
Do you?
Whenever I love it.
Dessert.
Right.
It's just they're the devil. Though.
Yeah.
Like, I have enough problems with red wine, you know.
So what was like the transition like? So right, if you were doing that and you're a chef, and then all of a sudden you switched to like reality TV, how was that sort of transition? And did then your diet have to change, because now you're not just a chef, but you're a celebrity chef, and you're on camera. So you've got this like you said, you're going to be camera ready in 2 weeks. So
and you've got to be a product of your product too.
Right. So how does that work?
Well,
Or how did it change?
I always maintained thinness,
Right.
athleticism, and I'm quite active, and I'm genetically probably I'm quite lucky in that
Right.
department. But yeah, I mean, it was quite funny because it was before everyone thought fat made you fat, and I was about 23. I was chef on this really big the Charter Bow. It was a really big program, and suddenly I turned around and I was like, bloody hell, Ben, you're a bit of a porker.
I knew that word was going to come out.
I had a bit of a bum and a bit of a belly, and I was like, but I don't eat anything. Like, how did this happen? And I realized I was drinking like 5 or 6 Coca-Colas a day.
That'll do it.
I thought you were going to say beer, and I was going to say, well, that'd do it too.
And then at that point, I had an epiphany. I was like, wow, it's sugar that makes you fat. And this was before anyone was really saying that.
Right.
And I know a lot about it now. And so you've got to stay away from that, you know?
Right. So talking about sugar and that, like, so let's set the scene. It's, you've had a big night, few too many wines, and it's late. What is your guilty takeaway food, guilty pleasure? Like, I don't do fast food, but I mean, if it's 2:00 in the morning and, you're hungry, what would your go-to be?
So you don't have to cook.
Yeah, guilty pleasure cheat day.
Through the drive-through.
Dirty,
no, I'm
greasy
with you.
food.
Like, I do a lot of travel. Like, I drive a lot. Like, I've got a Land Rover, and I'd sooner drive 6 hours than take a flight, because then I have my car and I have my equipment and everything with me. So in those days, I am guilty of going to Wendy's or Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Spicy chicken or regular?
Yeah. Or like those cheeky little donuts, those little, those little tiny donuts. I like them a lot.
Yep, same.
It's bad.
Moderation.
Yeah, exactly.
But have you had the donuts from, where are they? Taco Bell. The Cinnabon donuts from
holes.
Taco.
They're the devil.
They're the donut holes. So they're little circles and they're full with Cinnabon cream. Have you had those?
No, I haven't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's a slippery slope.
No. Yeah.
So I've lost over 200 pounds, but my lifestyle had to change. So I did give up all of that junk. But I really learned how to fuel my body, which is a huge part of weight loss. It's not just about, being on a diet. It's like, what does my body need, and what do I feel good? And like, for example, we just got back from the Cayman Islands, right? And so I was eating a little bit off schedule because, you're eating what's there. I'm such a routine person. I've learned over the years of like, now what does my body need to kind of operate at its best? And by the end of the trip, I was just feeling lousy because I was not eating.
You might have to explain lousy.
He knows lousy. He's British.
I mean, everybody else.
Oh, lousy is just like
no good, terrible.
Blah. I'm just feeling like lethargic. And, so I've had to learn like how to fuel your body. So it's really true. Like, you are what you eat. And when you are going on like a healthy, life-changing lifestyle, you really have to kind of learn that, like, what is going to fuel me? What is going versus like, what do my taste buds want? Yeah, trust me, I want 12 of those mini donut holes right now, but I'm going to feel crap after it, So.
Well, it's short-term satisfaction versus like your long-term goal because it does feel good for 30 seconds when you eat and swallow it. But
I reckon I could get 12
body,
down in 10 seconds.
Right, but then your body doesn't feel so good afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it almost becomes not worth it.
Right. But people don't think about that because you think about the satisfaction you get from that and then the after you deal with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't think people think far enough ahead. They don't think about the after before they put it in their mouth. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Chef Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to see you next. I think it's, Thursday?
Wednesday,
is it
Thursday,
next
I think
Thursday?
it is.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. There's going to be a bunch of us. So
a lot.
We've hung out with you before, and I know that you don't just cook and rack off. You've hung around.
Rack off?
He doesn't, Chef Ben hangs around. It's a good time.
Yeah, I like to
mix and mingle.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people don't. I mean, yeah, I'm a good chef, right? But people don't hire me just for my cooking. They hire me 'cause, they want to spend time with me, and I get it. I want to spend time with me.
Yeah.
It sounds like I want to spend time with you too.
Yeah.
Jeez,
I
like
want to spend time with you. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome.
That's the way I do it.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have too far to roll.
Right, because
home
we're
either, so we're
we're
right
coming
there.
to your side of town. I
I'll
remember.
have a designated driver, so I'll be okay.
Yes. Don't hang around Nicole because she's a bad influence.
But I'll always get you
Alright.
home.
she'll keep you hydrated.
But
And-
I can always get you home. I don't really drink like that anyway, like because I'm I like to make sure that I have my car everywhere I go as well.
Yeah.
So trust me, you will get home. You will get home safe. I just can't guarantee what day it's going to be. That's the only thing.
It's all right.
It's all right. There'll be plenty of food.
As long as it's a weekday, I don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Midweek. We're perfect. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Chef Ben. We will see you next week.
Nice to meet you.
All right. You take care.
You
All
too.
right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.